Beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes.
February 1959. 9 young hikers set across the frozen spine of the Ural Mountains. Students, friends, dreamers. They wrote letters home, promised to send postcards when they returned, but they never did. When rescuers found their campsite weeks later, the tent was ripped open from the inside. Sleeping bags abandoned. Boots left in neat rows. Footprints barefoot, leading into the snow. One hiker was found beneath a cedar tree, hands torn with bark, as if he tried to climb for his life. Another, her ribs shattered, her tongue and eyes gone. Their bodies glowed faintly under a trace of radiation. And above them, only wind. No one knows what chased them from their tent that night, but some say when the wind cuts across Dyatlov Pass just right, you can still hear them running.
Help us. Hey everyone, welcome back to Veil of Echoes.
We're your host, I'm Lyndsay.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bria. Each week we walk the line between truth and terror, uncovering the stories that hide in plain sight, and the echoes the world tried to bury beneath the snow.
Tonight's story carries us across the world to the Ural Mountains of Russia, a frozen wilderness the indigenous Mansi people once called Kulat Psychel, the Mountain of the Dead, which we butchered.
In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers vanished there after setting out on a winter expedition. Weeks later, rescuers discovered their tent ripped open from the inside, their bodies scattered in the snow under impossible conditions.
This case has haunted investigators and believers for more than 6 decades, a mystery carved in ice and fear. And because there's far too much for one episode, this will be the first of our 2-part special. Tonight, we'll follow the group's journey and the chilling evidence left behind. Next Friday, we'll step beyond reason into the theories, legends, and whispers that still haunt the mountains.
Before we begin, a warning. This episode contains descriptions of hypothermia, fatal injuries, and unsettling post-mortem details that may be disturbing to some listeners. We tell these stories not to glorify their tragedy, but to remember the lives behind the legend, and to give voice to the questions that were never answered.
And if you've been walking beside us through this journey, you know how much your support means. Every follow, review, and share keeps our lantern burning and helps new listeners find their way through the veil.
And if there's a case, true crime, paranormal, or something that haunted you personally, send it our way. You can message us on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Veil of Echoes Podcast. Your suggestion might be the next story we bring into the light.
Your support keeps the light alive, even where the world went dark.
Now, let's return to that February night. 9 friends, 1 mountain, and a mystery the snow refused to hide. Before the mystery, there is a plan. 9 students and recent graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Young, ambitious, fearless. They were led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, an engineering student known for his precision and quiet determination. For him, every expedition was about order. Maps perfectly folded. Equipment weighed to the gram. Every detail logged in a small leather notebook.
For Igor Dyatlov, this wasn't just another trek. It was a test, the final step toward earning their Grade 3 hiking certification, the highest rank awarded to Soviet mountaineers. It demanded endurance, precision, and proof that you could survive where others turned back.
In the Soviet Union, the certification meant more than adventure. It was a mark of discipline, resilience, even national pride. They weren't chasing danger. They were chasing achievement, the kind that turned ordinary students into legends of the motherland.
For them, this journey was supposed to be triumph, a final climb, a postcard home that read, "We did it." But that postcard was never sent. Under Dyatlov's leadership were 8 other experienced trekkers, all members of the university's hiking club, certified for high-level winter expeditions. Most of them were in their early 20s. Zina, bright and stubborn, who loved adventure more than comfort. Yuri D, athletic, fiery, always first to volunteer for the hardest tasks. Lyudmila, outspoken and brave, one of the few women in Soviet hiking circles who refused to be underestimated. Rustem, methodical, competitive, built for endurance. Nikolai, the jokester, with a camera always around his neck. Alexander, quiet, analytical, a physics student who saw the world in equations. And Yuri K, the heart of the group, a prankster who sang old Russian folk songs around the fire. And Semyon, the oldest, 37, a war veteran joining the group at the last moment, eager to earn his hiking certification.
They departed January 23rd, 1959, from Sverdlovsk, what's now Yekaterinburg. Their destination, Untortent, a remote peak deep in the northern Urals. In the Mansi language, that means, don't go there. But to Igor and his team, it was the ultimate challenge, a 300-kilometer trek through sub-zero wilderness.
They boarded a train bound for the small mining town of Ivdel, then a truck to the logging settlement of Vizhay, the last inhabited outpost before the mountains swallowed the road. From there, everything would be carried on their backs: skis, tents, a stove, notebooks, cameras, and food for 16 days.
Locals remembered them as cheerful, singing, joking, sharing bread with children who came to see the strangers heading into the cold. The hikers spent their last night in Vizhay inside a cramped room at a town's hostel. They took a group photo, smiling, tired, unaware that it would be the last picture of all of them together.
On January 27th, they began skiing toward Mount Untortent. Each evening they set up camp, recorded temperatures, noted direction of wind and terrain. Their diaries described laughter, snowball fights, improvised songs. But by the 3rd day, the weather turned. heavy snowfall, blinding wind. Visibility dropped to almost nothing.
Their last covered journal entries tell the story best. Igor wrote of poor visibility and fatigue, yet his tone stayed disciplined, calm. Zena's notes were lighthearted, complaints about frozen socks, jokes about the men snoring. Even Ludmila, ever the realist, wrote, "The weather is awful, but spirits are high."
On January 28th, one of them, Yuri Yudin, fell ill with joint pain and nerve inflammation. Igor insisted he return home before the conditions worsened. It was a difficult goodbye. He posed for one last photograph besides the truck, waving as the others skied away into the white. He would become the only survivor, spared by illness and condemned by memory.
From there, the 9 pressed on. They followed the Asupia River, climbing higher each day. But the storm only grew stronger. At some point on February 1st, they veered off course, turning west instead of north, and found themselves on the slopes of the Mountain of the Dead. It was too late in the day to correct the route, so Dyatlov decided they would camp right there on the exposed slope. He wrote, "We'll build a snow wall to protect the tent." It was their final entry.
They pitched their tent in the open, a bright orange speck against miles of white. 9 friends huddled together, sharing a meal, laughter, and plans for the climb tomorrow. The photographs from that night show peace, smiles frozen in time, unaware of the storm that was already gathered beyond the ridge.
The diaries end here. No signs of fear, no hint of what's to come next. Only warmth. A stove lit, songs hummed through numb lips, and then nothing.
By the next morning, February 2nd, 1959, the mountain was empty. The tent stood alone, and the first footprints in the snow were already beginning to fade.
So, when you chase the edge of the world for glory, how do you know when the mountain has stopped testing you and started warning you? I mean, the warning should have been just the mountain itself, called the Mountain of the Dead.
Right, exactly.
I mean, if I see that, yeah, I like to do stuff like that, but no. Knowing my luck, I'd get stuck like they did.
It just makes me, I mean, they're risk takers, though. It reminds me of Mount Everest, also.
Oh, yeah, how people were like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna...
There's how many bodies up there?
Isn't there like 70-something or something like that, or...
I thought there was more.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's another one.
Yeah.
But that's what it reminds, like, they want the thrill, and they want the, you know...
Well,
I mean, me personally, I hate the cold, so...
Yeah, fuck the cold, man. Nope, a good 80 and up is that's my type of weather.
I feel as soon as the weather gets heavy enough to where you can't see directly in front of you at some point, then maybe you should call it off till a better season, not go in the middle of February.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like Russia's always cold and snowy, but those times it's gonna be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. When the group didn't return by the date they'd promised, February 12th, no one panicked at first. Delays were common on mountain expeditions, but as the days passed, the quiet around Ural Polytech Institute grew heavier. Parents stopped sleeping, professors checked train stations, telegram offices, hospitals. No word, no tracks, just silence from the north.
On February 20th, the university organized a search team. Volunteers, students, and military personnel joined the effort. Dozens pushing through the drifts, taller than their knees, guided only by compasses and instinct. The temperature dropped to negative 30 degrees Celsius.
9 people had vanished into the white. No footprints, no messages. Only a single thread to follow, the coordinates of their intended route.
On February 26, 1959, a student named Mikhail spotted something bright against the snow, a small patch of orange. When he brushed the frost away, the color deepened. Fabric. A torn tent.
At first glance, it looked intact, half buried, leaning to one side, its poles still upright. But as they stepped closer, they saw long slashes down the fabric, cut clean through from the inside.
Inside were boots, jackets, food, and the hikers' diaries, neatly stacked by the entrance. The stove was still packed. No sign of a struggle. Only a single frozen crust of bread, half eaten, left on a plate as if someone had been interrupted mid-bite.
Then they found the footprints. A trail of bare feet and socks leading down the slope towards the tree line, over 500 meters away. No boots, no panic in the pattern, just a slow, deliberate walk into the darkness.
At the edge of the forest, searchers found the remains of a fire. A small circle of charred wood beneath a cedar tree. Beneath its branches lie Yuri D. and Yuri K., the 2 most spirited men in the group, both barefoot. Their hands torn and blackened, splinters embedded deep beneath their nails, as if they had tried to climb the tree to escape, or to see something.
The cedar above them told its own story. Branches broken, 10, 15 feet high. Something or someone had climbed in the dark. Maybe to look back at the tent, maybe to look for light. But there was none.
Between the cedar and the tent, they found 3 more bodies. Dyatlov, Kolomogorov, and Slobodin. Spaced like they had been crawling towards home. Dyatlov's fists were clenched, his body angled uphill. Zena's face was frozen mid-stride, as if still fighting the wind. Rustim's skull showed a shallow fracture, not enough to kill him instantly, but enough to make the world spin.
5 found, 4 still missing. The mountain held the rest beneath the snow, and winter wasn't done with them yet.
In May of 1959, when the thaw began, the final 4 were discovered in a ravine 75 meters beyond the cedar, buried beneath 12 foot of snow. Ludmila, Nikolai, Alexander, and Somyo. They built a small den of branches, an attempt to survive the cold. But what the rescuers found there defied logic.
2 of them had massive internal injuries, fractured ribs and crushed chests, damage like a car crash, but with no external bruising.
Ludmila was found face down in the snow. her ribs broken, her mouth open, her eyes were missing, her tongue was gone, and the snow beneath her had frozen into a pool of blood. Yet her expression looked peaceful, almost serene, as if she had accepted what was coming.
Nikolai had suffered a severe skull fracture, and, like Ludmila, his eyes were gone. It was as something had taken them cleanly, leaving no struggle and no blood. Alexander's body was strangely preserved. His clothes damp but unmarked. His eyebrows gone, the tip of his nose blackened by frostbite. Nikolai still wore his camera around his neck. The lens was cracked, as if he tried to capture something, and never finished.
Their clothing was mismatched, scavenged from the others. One wore another's sweater, another's jacket. Some garments were radioactive. Even now, no one knows if the contamination came from their school lab or from something they stumbled into on that mountain.
The scene made no sense. Their tent still upright, food untouched, the body spaced in a pattern that felt deliberate, almost ritual. But there were no footprints but their own. No sign of outsiders, just the echo of what happened, frozen in place.
The official investigation offered no clear cause. They wrote the phrase that still haunts historians: a compelling natural force. Something powerful enough to drive 9 train hikers from shelter into a death they couldn't outrun.
Maybe it was panic. Maybe the mountain itself demanded silence. Either way, the snow kept their story hidden for 66 days, until the wind decided to speak. So if you found their tent that day, slashed from the inside, footprints leading into darkness, would you follow them, or would you listen to the wind and turn back?
I think our listeners are going to know what I'm going to say. I'm going to fucking follow them.
I mean, I'm that far out, I might as well.
Might as well.
Like, where are you guys at?
If
Yeah.
I die, I die.
It just, like, flashed from the inside. So, like, I don't know, there's a lot of theories. Were they, like...
Hypothermia.
Yeah, like delusional.
Well, they
Which I
say
could
the
see.
one was still, he had damp clothes on, so was it from him falling out, or was, like, did he take his clothes off and deliberately get them wet? Was that trying to help him? Was it sweat? It just says they were damp.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe it had to be from him frosting out after 66 days.
Oh yeah, I can see that. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird situation, for sure.
Nine bodies. No weapon, no witnesses, no clear cause. Just the phrase etched into the final report. A compelling natural force. Whatever killed them left no fingerprints, only contradictions.
Hold up real quick. Siri's on my lap and she's hitting the microphone cord.
Siri. She always appears in our episodes now.
Hey, I'm okay with it. She's finally laying on my lap.
Yeah, it took her long enough. Oh, okay. Investigators began with logic. If not murder, then nature. The simplest explanation, an avalanche. The slope was steep, the snow deep. Perhaps the tent was buried, and the group fled in panic.
But the evidence rebelled. The angle of the slopes was too shallow, barely 23 degrees. Snow had collected, yes, but not enough to collapse the tent. Inside the tent's contents lay neatly, a lantern still standing upright, a camera balanced on its tripod. No signs of a violent burial, and when rescuers returned weeks later, the tent still stood. If an avalanche struck, it was polite enough to leave everything behind.
Then came the Kabbalic wind theory, a sudden, ferocious downdraft that could howl down the mountain like a freight train. Some scientists claim the pressure could cause panic, disorientation, even internal injuries. But again, the tracks told a slower story. No sprinting footprints, no chaos, just calm steps into oblivion.
Another theory took hold. Infrasound. Low-frequency vibrations created by the wind as it whipped over the mountain's topography. Below human hearing, but felt inside the body. Those frequencies can induce nausea, dread, even irrational terror, a fight or flight with no visible threat. Could the hikers have been driven mad by sound itself?
Skeptics argued it explained their calm footprints. A group lulled by panic they couldn't understand, fleeing the tent half-dressed. But infrasound doesn't crush ribs or strip eyes, and it doesn't leave radiation behind.
The radiation became the next obsession. Two of the hikers, Alex and Nikolai, showed measurable contamination on their clothing. Officials insisted it was harmless residue from their studies at the Polytech's nuclear lab. But to the public, it smelled like a cover-up. The Cold War was at its height. The Ural hid missile ranges and secret weapon tests. And that winter, local hunters reported strange lights over the sky, glowing spears drifting above the peaks.
Military archives later confirmed that R-7 rockets were being tested nearby, the same type used to launch Sputnik. Could a failed launch have showered debris or radiation over their campsite? Some claimed soldiers found the bodies first, cleaned the site, then let civilians discover it weeks later. No documents proved it, but many were classified for decades.
Others believed it went far deeper. The hikers' journals mentioned flashes in the sky and distant booms echoing through the mountains the night they vanished. Several rescuers reported their own radiation burns. Stories quietly moved from later reports, and when families tried to view the bodies, officials stood close, taking notes, forbidding photographs. Even the morgue workers whispered that the corpse skin looked unnaturally orange, their hair gray and brittle, as if something more than the cold had touched them.
By spring, the KGB had taken over the investigation. Files disappeared. Testimonies were redacted. Search members were ordered not to speak, and those who did were told the deaths were an accident of exposure. But exposure doesn't explain missing eyes or crushed ribs. It explains only silence.
Others whispered something older, that the mountain was cursed long before the Soviets drew their maps. The Mansi people called it sacred ground, a place where spirits punished those who trespassed. They warned of light in the sky, voices in the wind, a legend of 9 hunters lost to a white demon, and now 9 hikers lost the same way.
UFO enthusiasts saw proof in the glowing orbs. Cryptid hunters blamed the Yeti, fueled by a photograph recovered from the group's final roll of film. A tall, shadowy figure at the edge of the trees. The image was likely one of the hikers, or a trick of light. But once fear takes root, reason is just another footprint swallowed by snow.
For decades, theories multiplied. Radiation tests, parachute mines, escaped prisoners, even KGB spies posing among them. Each answer fit one piece of the puzzle, but left the others frozen in mystery.
Maybe the truth was a storm. A dozen truths colliding until none survived. Cold, darkness, fear, the weight of snow, the whisper of something unseen. Whatever it was, it ended 9 lives in silence.
The investigation closed in May 1959. Files sealed and questions buried. But the wind never stopped asking.
And that's where we leave them tonight, frozen between science and superstition, reason and nightmare. Next Friday we'll return to the Mountain of the Dead, to the lights in the sky, the shadows in the trees, and the echoes that refuse to fade.
So, when logic fails to explain the unexplainable, do you keep searching for evidence, or do you start listening to the whispers?
I mean, I'd like to search for evidence. Like, what
Evidence.
the fuck happened to them?
I want to know 100%. I want to know what actually happened up on the mountain.
Like, I don't know. I get the government, but
Fucking
then
government.
I get, like, why was some of their eyeballs missing and their tongue missing? I don't.
See, I think the KGB could have had more to do with it. Because if you ever watch Stranger Things,
Yeah.
the KGB is behind a lot of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And something like this, I could see them behind. Like the theory of the soldiers coming and cleaning up the area first, so that way they can be accidentally discovered by the search parties.
Yeah.
Like, I can see that. I can see that, but it doesn't make sense with the snow.
Or they're missing tongues and
Yeah.
eyeballs.
Well, unless somebody just had a tongue and eyeball fetish. Oh my god, I don't even know why I said that.
Eyeballs. I don't know.
It's a mystery. I mean, it's in the height of the Cold War. They could have been mistaken for spies, but the tongues and the eyeballs, the glowing skin, the gray hair, the radiation traces.
That's why it makes me think of the KGB.
It
lot
makes
of
my head
cover-up.
hurt thinking about it, honestly.
Well, especially right after they took over, they said statements were redacted. People withdrew statements in fear of the KGB.
Yep. The KGB was nothing to fuck with, man.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Today, on the slopes of the Mountain of the Dead, a stone marker stands in the snow. 9 names carved into granite. 9 friends who never came home. Each February, hikers retrace their path. Some bring flowers, others leave letters or scraps of fabric, hoping the wind carries them where words once failed.
Time has changed the mountain's name, but not its silence. Even now, the air feels heavier there. Like the ground still remembers every step they took that night.
The files were closed. The theories multiplied. But the questions remain, frozen somewhere between science and superstition.
So, if the mountain truly remembers, what do you think it's trying to say?
The KGB did it.
Exactly. KGB. I'm 100% KGB.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm,
Well, as we know from covers-ups in Los Angeles, I mean,
Yeah.
these people have a stronger pull than just some rich doctor back in the 20s.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could see where all these theories kind of sit. The avalanche, no.
I mean, if there wasn't missing body parts and unknown, or like internal damages without outside bruising, then I think they would have docked it up to winter weather and left it there. But there's so much more going on here.
Yeah.
And then why were they barefoot? And we'll go more deep into that next
You know, the
time,
radiation, and if it's true, if it was radiation, they could have ended up with radiation poisoning, and it just made them all go mad.
Yeah. Because it makes sense with the rockets or whatever nearby, and then, like, it would sprinkle on them. So that would make sense
Yeah.
to why there was radiation on them. But it's a mystery. Guess we'll figure it out more next week.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, bitches.
And that concludes part 1 of the Dyatlov Pass incident, the 9 who vanished. Thank you for walking beside us through the storm, and for remembering the lives behind this legend.
9 students, 9 dreams, and a mystery still buried beneath the snow.
Next Friday, we return to the Ural Mountains for part 2, Theories from the Cold. We'll explore the theories, the science, and the secrets that refuse to die. From Soviet cover-ups, to infrasound experiments, to the stories that locals still whisper about the mountain that doesn't forgive.
Jackson.
I don't know how you sleep through that at night. You're right there in my ear all night long. I'm like, is that you, Lane, the dog? What's going on over here? I look over and Jackie's... I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry,
Jackson.
Jackie. I'm talking shit about you. Okay? Love you.
And if you've been walking through the veil with us, thank you. Every listen, follow, and review keeps our lantern burning bright. You can follow Veil of Echoes podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for haunting visuals, behind-the-scene moments, and clues of what's waiting just beyond the dark.
And if there's a case or a haunting that's been echoing in your mind, true crime or paranormal, send it our way. You might just hear your suggestion in a future episode.
And before we go, this Monday we travel north to British Columbia, to a pig farm that became one of the darkest crime scenes in Canadian history. Robert Willie Picton, a man who prowled Vancouver's downtown east side, offering kindness to those the world had already forgotten, before turning their trust into terror.
It's a story of fear, neglect, and the countless voices that vanished into the mud. The ground still remembers what was buried there. And once you've heard it, you'll wish you could forget.
Until next time, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.